My name is Adam. I am the host of RealHomeRecording.com, and I identify as a Grammy award winning multi platinum audio engineer. So let's get right into the news for today, which is March 21st, 2019. The IK Fender collection, both of them are on sale right now for $30 and $40 respectively. That's a really good price. I thought that the Fender Collection 2 basically nailed it for clean electric guitar sound. So I highly recommend either or of them, but really I would go with Fender Collection 2. If you have money for both, go ahead and get both, but Fender Collection 2 by far, it's the one to get. So, UVI. This is big. I don't know. I didn't listen to the samples. I haven't tried this myself. I mean, that's true with most of what I'm going to talk about today. But UVI have released what I would consider the Desert Island acoustic pianos collection, and the price is really good. 150 bucks. You get like a Yamaha C7. You get a Steinway D. You get an upright Steinway. You get, oh man, the list just keeps going on. I'll show you on screen what's going on here once I pull it up. But hopefully this works better because my fingerprints aren't on there anymore. But if you see, hold on, I'll find the list here. And thanks for joining me, everybody. So here we go. So here's the instruments list. Hopefully that's focusing. And it just keeps going. Huge list of instruments. You even get a harpsichord, a clavichord, a spinet, a blanchet cembalo. I don't know what that is, but the big thing is the grand pianos and the uprights are just fantastic. And 150 bucks. If the quality is good, that's what always matters the most. If the quality is good, then it's a hell of a price. So I would check it out. I don't know. It looks like they have. I know they have descriptions of this stuff. Let me make sure they have actual samples somewhere. Okay, yes, they do have samples up on SoundCloud, and that's good. And it requires about 14 gigabytes of disk space because they do use a FLAC lossless compression. So awesome. Again, I don't know what the quality is, but UVI said that they've been in business for over 20 years. I hope by now they have their stuff together. I'm not familiar with their virtual instruments. I was going to review, I believe it was one of their I think it was their plate reverb. They were actually at the AES show, and I just never got around to doing it. Here's the thing, guys. When it comes to reviews, I am like, if a company approaches me personally, then I will more than likely review their product. Just because I don't know, it's almost like I feel obligated to because I'm still a small channel, believe it or not. 20,000 subscribers is small in the grand scheme of things. But what I will say is, if a company, and it happens, I get press releases from different companies, and if it's not like a unique enough product, I just don't even bother with it. Um, it's kind of a hole thing to say, but that's the way I feel about anything in life. Is that if it's already been done a million times and there hasn't been an improvement of some sort, okay, I don't really care. Speaking of which, well, not really speaking of which, but here's the other IK Multimedia bit of news, and that is they have their iRig, the hell is it called? iRig micro amp, and this is also $150, and it looks like it does 2496. I'm looking in the wrong spot. That's it. Okay. I keep thinking it's in the center, but I don't know why. Anyway, um, it it's a little amplifier. It's 15 watts. It runs off of, I believe, six AA batteries or a 9 volt rechargeable setup, or I'm sorry, power supply. So um, if it sounds okay, hey, they've actually made some nice little speakers. IK have, so it might sound pretty good, especially for a practice amp. It does have a headphone output for silent practice, so 150 bucks isn't too bad. I know you can get it cheaper. I know you can get practice amps cheaper at the pawn shop or whatever, but you know, it because this interfaces with your smartphone or a tablet or your computer and uses amplitude technology, it's probably better than most practice amps. Or at least it's more versatile, I should say. And I think, oh no, I do have one more bit of news. I wanted to do news at the very beginning and then do Q&A afterwards, just because I know some people come just for the news. So if I get the news out of the way quick first, then that'll make everybody happy. Okay, so apparently there, if you do any type of audio plugin development, I know this is probably like a small percentage of my audience actually does software development, but Juice is like the big one, right? But there's another one called KFR Framework, and they actually put out a new version a couple days ago. And so if you're into that, it's apparently an open source framework for plugins. Again, it's called KFR Framework. And that's about it for that. So, told you it would be quick. I think that's about it. There's nothing really else happening with audio engineering to my knowledge. I believe, oh, I saw if you are into electronic music or pop music, Silent One, apparently you can pay for that in $10 installments per month. So, they're trying to make it so that people who are, on an ultra low budget can still afford to pay for this stuff. I love that. I love there's a company that allows you to rent to own plugins. I think that's better than just renting plugins. I know it's going to cost more in the end, but that's the way things go. You either pay for it outright or you get yourself a no interest credit card if your credit's good enough. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, and I wish I had the name of the app on hand, but I came across several apps that allow you to build credit. And so essentially what you do is you pay yourself. I think the one's called like self loan or something. So basically you agree to pay like I think two like actually there's no set amount. So I think like minimum is like $200 or something. So over a 12-month period, you pay yourself the money back, and the whole reason you want to do this is it helps you establish credit. Okay. So I believe I don't know if it collects. Oh, I know what it is. So basically, they take a certificate of deposit out in your name, and then the idea is that they collect the interest on that. You get all your money back, and they break even. So again, if you don't have credit or your credit sucks, it's cool. And I just wish I had the name of the app on here, but yeah, establishing credit. Look, I'll tell you guys this. I've had two friends in the past 5 years tell me they used to pay for everything in cash because they could afford it. But then when they went to get a mortgage or they went to get, they wanted to buy a better car, so they had to get a car loan, they had no credit established. And had they been getting things, even if you get a credit card and like pay it off within the first 30 days, that's better than nothing. Um, so I highly recommend, especially for the younger audience, establish credit earlier on in your life. It makes life easier later on. And yeah, just trust me on that. Also, don't get fat. That's that if my two biggest pieces of advice, don't get fat. So stay healthy. I don't mean you have to be like anorexic or anything. I mean just like, you don't want to look like me. I'm not even like super fat like but I just imagine carrying an extra, in my case, 60 pounds around, and what damage that does to your knees and your ankles and your feet and your lower back. That's what they don't want to tell you. All this fat positivity stuff. Think about it. Who are these media companies sponsored by? food companies, right? Lots of fast food ads, lots of grocery store ads, you name it, they're sponsored by it. Guess who else they're sponsored by? Diabetes medications. Think about it. Anyway, it's not a conspiracy, it's just right in front of your face. By the way, please give this video a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And that's about it. All right. I saw Zach Bollinger. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I saw an interface at Sam Ash built into a 1/4 inch cable. That's cool. 1/4 inch guitar cable. And hey, recording Studio 9. Man, I have to join your live broadcast one day. I don't know if you announced them ahead of time or not, but I need to be in the chat because you're in my chat and I feel guilty. Strange happening says LOL. So, hey man, I just try to keep it real. I try to tell the truth on this channel. Nobody's controlling my message. I could say actually I could say things that would get me put in jail, but I'm not gonna do that. But I am free to speak about whatever, and that's great because there's so much censorship going on. Actually, I had two of my videos censored, not on this channel, but my personal channel, and I'm actually going through legal things with that right now, and yeah, good times because the establishment media in my area do not appreciate when somebody points out evidence that they got a story wrong, or let's say they don't really lie, they keep things out of their stories, which is almost as bad as lying. When they know, when they are knowledgeable of facts and they leave those facts out, there's a problem. And they didn't like that I was pointing that out, so they abused YouTube's copyright claim system to remove my videos. Not cool. Not cool at all. And I actually might make them, depending on what happens, because I'm still waiting to hear back from lawyers. But depending on what happens, I might just go to their building and raise hell and make a video about that, censor that. So that's what's go. Oh, also, somebody was saying, "Hey, well, these are private companies. You can't tell them what they can and cannot allow." Guess what? You are telling private companies how much money you can pay them. There are minimum wage laws. You're telling companies that they can't pollute. You're telling companies that what's another one? There's so many regulations, it's not even funny. As far as I'm concerned, Google is one of the best ones out there because I know that there's still things out there about Google. But look, Google by far compared to the other companies are not doing things as badly. They could be a lot better, don't get me wrong, but as far as, giving a semi-equal voice to both small creators and larger creators, as the years go on, they're getting less so, and I think there's money being exchanged behind the scenes, but still, as of right now, small creators are still, we can still grow a channel from square one, and actually, the video that I put out, the video that I was about to say published, the video that I put out there about that media was I basically I have 10 subscribers on that channel right now. Okay. And 10 subscribers, but that video was actually at about 180 views when it was taken down. So you can gain traction based because of YouTube's algorithm. That's one thing I can say is that, it's not perfect, but as long as you are making videos that people actually care about, then you're good. Just the same with music. I always tell people, like, actually Glenn Fricker's been about this. He's like, look, man, some of the best music has been a combination of genres. People don't want to hear the same thing. You have to be unique. Like what I was saying earlier, I don't care about products that are the same old, same old. Give me something new to use. Give me something new to listen to. Um, so, all right, ran over. I'm going to answer questions if you all have any. And if you just joined, please give the video a like. Why are some interfaces still built at 16-bit, such as the OMEC Teleport, Orange Amps, and whatever company makes the interface? The answer for that is they are cheap and trying to have the largest profit margin. So, thanks for that question, Zach. Yeah, Recording Studio 9 says, unless you want to be up at 1 a.m. Sometimes I am up that late, man. So, I just don't know. I guess, do you have a schedule when you go live? So, yeah, hey, see, Recording Studio 9 says the same thing. They cheap out on the parts, guys. And actually I found out that the solid state logic mixing board that just came out is built in China. Nothing, look, there's nothing wrong with being built in China, but what tends to happen is when a product first comes out, the factory is making things to spec. So everything's going good, right? That's when most of the reviews come out on a new product, okay? But then as the years or even the months go on, the Chinese factories start replacing components with fake stuff and like really good looking fake stuff. And so it might sound the same, but the parts won't last as long, or it won't sound the same. And so what they'll do is maybe they'll make like, I don't know, let's say they have an order for 1,000, so they'll make like, I don't know, 600 of them to spec, but then the other ones that should have been thrown away are kept. So the quality assurance isn't what it should be. Um, but there are a lot of good things made in China. Don't get me wrong. China is not what China was 20 or 30 years ago. Like stuff as of late is actually pretty damn good. Um, I think the phone I'm using was made in Taiwan, but whatever. The bottom line is China has some of the best factories out there, and they have the cheapest labor right now. Now that's changing though. The quality of living I've heard is going up in China. The government's becoming less of jerks. So the prices of labor will go up. But for right now, that's just the way of the world. I don't know. We could all move to China where the cost of living is not as bad. I mean, that's the problem with the economy, man, is that the cost of living right now, rent or mortgages or property taxes are very, very high. Inflation, which for those of you that don't know, it's not the natural rise in cost. Inflation is literally an increase in the money supply started by the government at the federal level. Technically, they're borrowing money from the Federal Reserve Bank, but they tell the Federal Reserve Bank to make money, and they do. So it's and they also have federal government guards outside the building. So come on, man. Don't tell me it's a private entity. It's not. Regardless, the more money that's out there, and right now I believe we are at $22 trillion of debt here in the United States. The more money that's out there, plus unfunded liabilities, you add all that money up, and it devalues the dollar over the years. So I believe, let's see, to give you a good analogy on that, the car that I have right now cost $30,000 when it was brand new in the year 2000, okay, or 1999, one of those two. So that same car would cost $40,000 in 2018 money. And I say 2018 because that's how the inflation calculator works. So as the years go on, your money's worth less, and that means that any money you had put away for savings that you were going to retire on is worth less. And why we the people are putting up with this? Because we are complacent and we're not starving yet. Once we start starving, literally starving, that's when you'll see things change, but not until then. So maybe they will do that universal income stuff, but regardless, I'm not nobody owes anybody a job, but at the same time, if not enough people have jobs, there's nobody going to be buying your stuff. So eventually we're just going to run into a problem of um let's see. We're going to run into the problem of people not being able to just affording food. So I think we should all become farmers again, you know. Real Home Farming will be the offshoot channel soon. So, all right, Recording Studio 9 says he feels when he feels like it, he live streams. Okay, that's how I usually would do it. So, speaking of made in China, this is what I was saying. Some stuff made in China is good. This is, the Audi ID14 is made in China. So, I'm not saying there's there's good companies and there's bad companies, and also if the way I've been told this is you have to have somebody who is trustworthy or multiple people who are trustworthy actually physically in the factories doing quality assurance so you cannot get ripped off. Um, so I'm assuming that SE is a Chinese company, but technically they're based out of California. But regardless, SE's microphones, I'm not gonna sit up here and say, oh, they're great, or if they are. Well, you guys heard the demos. The SE7 to me is the microphone you should buy, especially if you're first starting out. But if you don't have a matched pair of microphones and you're on a tight budget, awesome. Actually, I would recommend getting the match pair anyway because more than likely what they're going to do is they're going to find what they think is like how this microphone should actually sound, and then they're going to find two mics that sound like that, if that makes any sense. Otherwise, you're kind of taking a gamble, and I don't know, quality assurance is certainly less than what like the SE8 would be. So if you're not on a tight budget, I've heard that the SE8 is actually a very good competitor to a Neumann KM84 or I'm sorry, KM184. There is a difference. Um, but I'm telling you, I'm planning on doing a video called like $300 home studio budget. So it would be like the SE7 can cover so much ground. Um, Compared to the SM57, which was my previous recommendation for the first microphone. But it's now been surpassed by the SE7 because I just think a small diaphragm condenser microphone is nice to have. And the main thing that was holding me back from recommending other ones was they didn't have an attenuation pad built in. The SE7 has a negative 20 decibels pad in. So that allows you to record a ton of different sources. It also has a low cut filter. Um, I love it. I love the way it sounds. Again, it's not as good as my 603S modified mic, but it's really, really good for $100. And so yeah, I I know SE did not buy my opinion. I've always said you can send me whatever amount of money. I'm not going to do it because I would rather be honest. Like, hey, I would love to have $1 million. I doubt anybody would pay me that much. But maybe at that point I would say yes. I will say your product is good for $1 million. I'm not going to sit here and say I wouldn't say that. But I would have to make sure the product actually is good. And that's the thing, man. Just make a good product and we'll give a good review. That's all there is to it. This is not rocket science. You know what I'm saying? It's not like microphones haven't been in existence since like the 19th century. Anyway, thanks for joining me, guys. So, how do you like your SEX1? Night Mysterio. What, SE's microphones aren't cheap in Australia? That's kind of shocking. You would think they would be cheaper since, the islands right there. I don't know, man. The world is a weird place, and I guess I don't know. Here in the United States, we are some of the cheapest bastards in the world. Like we will if it doesn't say sale or clearance, it's like we don't buy it. So even if the companies lie to us, we want to get a deal, I guess is the best way to put it, even if we're being lied to. So there's the bargaining that happens, and I don't know. America's interesting. We have a lot of money, but we still we still will cheap out. I'm not saying me necessarily, but because I'm like one of the weird people that like I'll get it something on Craigslist and I'll meet the seller in person and I'm like, here's your money, and they're like, really? And I'm like, what? They're like, well, usually people try to like bargain me down, and I'm like, okay, well, the asking price was the asking price, so that type of thing, man. It just, and then you have all these middlemen wanting to take their cut, and I would say, like, look, my philosophy is the more we cut out the middlemen, the better off we all are. And man, now they got Amazon robots doing the picking, and I don't know if they have packing robots yet, but that's coming next. So all these guys out there that are, using Amazon because they don't feel like driving 10 to 20 minutes to a store, you're killing jobs. You're killing a lot of jobs. And that's a concern of mine for the distant future. Well, that's good. I'm glad you like your microphone. Yeah, I didn't my review. This is why I actually said this in the review. I said I'm surprised SE sent me more microphones. Because I wanted to review the DM1, the preamp. They call it a preamp, but it's an inline. I'll call it an inline amplifier. And then they were like, "Well, hey, would you like to review the SC7 too?" And I'm like, "Okay." You may as well send it to me. So I'm like, okay, I had low expectations for the S7. I'm not gonna lie, I had low expectations for it. I'm like, because I didn't like the way the SE 2200 sounded. I thought that um, it was way too sibilant and it was harsh, and I simply just didn't like it. And it was like a $300 microphone. So I'm like, okay, well, if I didn't like their $300 microphone, I'm probably not going to like their $100 microphone. But they, despite what that frequency response chart shows on their website, whatever they did to the SE7, it doesn't sound harsh. It doesn't sound. I mean, even my voiceover, and actually the harmonica, that was the big surprise. When I played harmonica, I was expecting a lot more harshness in that recording, and it just didn't come out like that. So, you know, whatever they did, that's why I said big big ups to their research and development team for making that happen at that price point. So, nothing is cheap in Australia. Postage costs more than the item itself. That's like my family that lives in Hawaii. They're like, "Oh my God, food is so expensive." Um, and because they're on a little island, so it makes sense. You just paid $4,000 for a PreSonus, really? Oh my God, man! You almost might be better off flying to the USA and then buying stuff here and then and then leaving. I only use two mics. The SEX. That's funny. The SEX1, the Sex one, and the Shure SM58. Cool. Oh, okay. So actually, I'll probably make a separate video for this at some point and have graphics and all that. But if you're on a super tight budget, here are my recommendations right now. And hold on, I gotta bring it up because I'm gonna say the name wrong if I don't. Um, so I'll just say this: if you can buy used, even better. But my first recommendation, I already said it, is the SE7. That'll be your one and only microphone at this budget. The second thing you want to get is, I would say, Reaper. Get Reaper. Um, technically, technically you don't have to pay for it. I mean, obviously you should pay for it, but technically you don't. I know people that don't, and shame on them because it's only $60. I mean, come on, people, seriously. But that being said, yes, we're talking about ultra tight budget, and yeah. So the second thing, I'm trying to pull it up because I don't want to say the wrong word. It's called the. Okay, it's the Focusrite Scarlet Solo, which it looks like they just increased the price by like $10. But okay, at one point it was like I think $100. So the Focusrite Scarlet Solo is $110. So let's see, we got 100. That's 210. We got $90 left. So at this point, I would recommend headphones. If you don't already have them, I would get some headphones, and that would be the. Let me get this one right too, because I always say the number wrong. Uh, okay, so it's the Philips SHP 9500 headphones. Oh, I forgot a microphone cable. So okay, there's probably money left in that budget for a microphone cable. So put that in there. Maybe a stand. You might even be able to find microphone cable for free somewhere, or a microphone stand. But like I said, if you can buy used, even everything I just said, the SC7 you probably won't be able to find used right now. But regardless, you can make things happen on a little budget. And actually, I might even challenge myself to do a full band recording with just that gear. I would have to use the ID14 and just use one channel at a time. But yeah, I want to try. I want to try doing that with the SE7. So just to kind of say, yeah, I'm not blowing smoke up your asses. Like it really is that good of a microphone to use on everything. So all right. Oh, I'm over the 30-minute mark, and my tooth is hurting from talking too much. I was talking a bunch earlier on the phone, and my mouth is hurting. So yeah, good times. Oh, that was my other bit of advice. Speaking of teeth, go to the dentist at least once per year. So what did I say? Don't get fat. Go to the dentist at least once a year. And what was the other thing? I forget what the other thing was, but that's my life advice. Oh, the other one was um nobody cares about you. So you have to actually provide value for other people. And that's the way of the world. Provide value for other people. Um, especially men. Men have it worse than women, especially pretty women, because at least pretty women, their value. I'm gonna get hounded for saying stuff like that again, but it's true, man. So your value in the world has to be established in some capacity, um, whether that's moving things, whether that is moving people, whether that is creating things, whether that is, but you got to create things people actually want to pay for. And that's really the hardest lesson in life is that a lot of times what you make, nobody cares. So, you know, what, it, if you're doing it for fun, that's a whole different story. But, you know, I would say I make more money doing IT support than I do doing audio. So, anyway, if you guys have any more questions, I will stay here for about 2 more minutes. What is that emoji? Oh, the laughing emoji. I like Mixcraft 8. They remade all their past versions and they are clean and simple. Oh, also the Behringer. There is a Behringer. Speaking of made in China, there is a Behringer. I always forget the serial number on this or the model number on this one, but it's like the UR or something. It's their super cheap interface. UM. Yeah, I think this is it. UMC. Nope, that's not it. It's something. UMC 22. Yeah, this is it. So it's the Behringer Euphoria, spelled U dash Phoria. Um, Euphoria UMC 22. So you just have to type in Behringer. Oh, I'm sorry. Behringer is spelled Behringer. So I am not a really big fan of Behringer as a company because I think that the owner is kind of an asshole. But, some of their newer stuff is, Behringer used to be made fun of. I had a Behringer mixing board for the longest time. Actually, everything up until February 2016. Was it that? Yeah, I think no, April 2016, I believe. So whenever I got the Audi 9014, prior to that, all the voiceovers on this YouTube channel were recorded with an old Behringer Eurorack mixing board running into my what the hell did I have back then? I think I just did it right into the built-in sound card. So yeah, not saying they're the best in the world, but yeah. No off switch. All right, guys. I'm wrapping this up since there's no more questions. Thank you for joining me. There will be no video, there will be no live broadcast tomorrow because it's Friday night. Go and enjoy yourselves for the weekend. I will try to enjoy myself during the weekend, and I will see you all. I guess. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it Monday through Thursday. That will be the schedule. Monday through Thursday, between somewhere between 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. Um, I think that's the best way to do it. So please leave a like if you haven't already. Click the thumbs up thingy, and I will see you all next week.